Hey guys, you probably have recognized what's been going on in the marketplace if you've been paying attention to real estate, but also if you pay attention to the stock market. So today I want to talk to you about the dynamics of the rising real estate market and the declining stock market, and how those two will eventually have impact each other, and how you could take advantage of either of those. To start, let's talk about the real estate market. The real estate market right now is exceptionally hot. It's very similar to that market that we saw in 2016 as things evolved. So here's an example. We just sold a house at over 100,000 over asking, and multiple offers. I've seen houses that have sold for that had over 10, 13, 14, 15 offers in a given week. Certainly these houses were either underpriced or priced very well, and had a high quality of finish, but that definitely is as a result of having far more buyers than there are sellers in the marketplace. Comes back to that drum that's constantly beating about there being a supply issue in real estate today. So that's something we anticipate is going to continue. It's a trend that we've seen in the past, and the stress test and the mortgage rule changes that happened back in 2017, those have kind of the market's adapted to those. Here's another thing: the interest rates being reduced and the mortgage stress test being relaxed is fuel on the fire. So what I've told a couple people already who have asked me about this. The reason they're doing it is for the economy, not for the real estate market. So they're not reducing the interest rates on purpose in order to have a real estate market that is crazy. They are doing it in order to stimulate the economy, because of what's going on. And that's where we get in the global market, and that's where we get into how the stock market is being affected by both the coronavirus, an oil dispute between the Middle East and Russia, as well as just global uncertainty about whether or not we're going to be in a recession. Because in the last 10 years, we've seen a significant amount of growth, and I think it's quoted as being the longest bull market, which means you're seeing an upward trend. And typically when you see the stock market, it goes like this. Well, sometimes it comes down like this too, and I think that's what they're trying to get at is the valuations have been. They need to be adjusted to back to kind of a modest increase, and not such a dramatic increase over time that don't reflect the actual values of the company, and it's more about hype and people wanting to just take advantage of that. In either case, I'm not an analyst. I can't give you stock advice, but I can say that this climate where there's uncertainty about economic stability, about interest rates being dropped, how does a potential recession affect real estate values when real estate is growing at a steady pace, if not a dramatic pace? Certainly this is going to be an interesting year. There's no way for me to truly, have a crystal ball and determine that a recession is going to slow the market down. So it was a smart idea to reduce interest rates. It was a smart idea to relax the stress test. This is something that we can only anticipate, because much like all of the other potential recessions or lack thereof, no one's got the crystal ball. No one can predict these things, and every single one of them is unique in their own right, because the circumstances in that time, in that world, in that place are all very different. We also have to follow what's going on in the United States, and obviously right now in the United States, they're having their own political and economic turmoil, which immediately impacts us. So when we're talking about real estate today, what are the fundamentals that we need to understand? One is there's low supply, and this lack of supply has been haunting the GTA in general for 10 years, like as long as I've been a realtor. It's been gradual, and certainly there's been dramatic increases over time. But recently is where we've seen, like, you don't go from a 2016, 2017 hike to a, what people assumed was going to be a dramatic drop, but it wasn't. It was more of a plateau and maybe a little bit of a dip, and then now back to a market that's as busy as it is today. The Toronto Real Estate Board, earlier last month, had indicated that they're anticipating a 10% market value growth this year. 10% rise in market value. So that means if your house is worth 900,000, your house could hypothetically be worth 990,000 by the end of the year. This is significant. But again, every market's different. If you're further out of the GTA, things will be different. There's also micro markets, specific neighborhoods that could have higher values. There's condominiums. There could be increased supply in your marketplace. So definitely you need to consult your realtor to make sure that you understand those dynamics. But understanding how this particular situation could be an opportunity, one particular idea, and take it with a grain of salt, could be, well, one market seems to be going up and you can get top prices, and the other one seems to be going down where you can get the best price on a purchase side. Is it a possible strategy to either refinance a house to invest in a stock market that's hitting its that's going into a recession? Is it a good idea to possibly sell and then get into the stock market? For those that are very risk tolerant, who like to take those types of risk, that might be an opportunity, right? You don't get many opportunities to take advantage of a recession. And I know that sounds bad because there's a lot of people who suffer as a result, but the reality is for the average person to do something like that takes a certain amount of kahunas. And if you have those kahunas, then you can leverage yourself in a way that is calculated, but there's certainly risk. In either case, if you have any questions about real estate, or if you want to just brainstorm or have comments about what you think the market's going to do, like, do you think that the real estate market will continue to rise in a climate where we are talking about a potential recession? Or do you think that the market will continue to rise regardless because of the lack of supply and the interest rates being reduced? The interest rates being reduced arguably was for the entire Canadian economy and not for these these crazy markets that are the GTA and Vancouver and in some parts Montreal as well. So let me know what you think. Put your comments below. I would love to hear what some of my educated friends have to say. And I do think we are in for a show in the next 12 months. And let's see if we can document it and see who comes out on top as far as predicting what's going to happen. Have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Cheers.